Thailand. Officially the Kingdom of Thailand, and historically known as Siam, is a country in Southeast Asia on the Indochinese Peninsula. With a population of almost 66 million, it spans 513,115 square kilometers. Thailand is bordered to the northwest by Myanmar, to the northeast and east by Laos, to the southeast by Cambodia, to the south by the Gulf of Thailand and Malaysia, and to the southwest by the Andaman Sea. It also shares maritime borders with Vietnam to the southeast and Indonesia and India to the southwest. Bangkok is the state capital and largest city. Thai peoples migrated from southwestern China to mainland Southeast Asia from the 6th to 11th centuries. Indianized kingdoms such as the Mon, Khmer Empire, and Malay states ruled the region, competing with Thai states such as the kingdoms of Ngoan, Sukhothai, Lan Na, and Ayutthaya, which also rivaled each other. European contact began in 1511 with a Portuguese diplomatic mission to Ayutthaya, which became a regional power by the end of the 15th century. Ayutthaya reached its peak during the 18th century, until it was destroyed in the Burmese-Siamese War. King Taksin the Great quickly reunified the fragmented territory and established the short-lived Thonburi Kingdom, of which he was the only king. He was succeeded in 1782 by Phutthayat Phachul Alok, the first monarch of the current Chukri dynasty. Throughout the era of Western imperialism in Asia, Siam remained the only state in the region to avoid colonization by foreign powers, although it was often forced to make territorial, trade, and legal concessions in unequal treaties. The Siamese system of government was centralized and transformed into a modern unitary absolute monarchy during the 1868 to 1910 reign of Chulalongkorn. In World War I, Siam sided with the Allies, a political decision made in order to amend the unequal treaties. Following a bloodless revolution in 1932, it became a constitutional monarchy and changed its official name to Thailand, becoming an ally of Japan in World War II. In the late 1950s, a military coup under Field Marshal Sri Thanara revived the monarchy's historically influential role in politics. During the Cold War, Thailand became a major ally of the United States and played an anti-communist role in the region as a member of SEATO, which was disbanded in 1977. Apart from a brief period of parliamentary democracy in the mid-1970s and 1990s, Thailand has periodically alternated between democracy and military rule. Since the 2000s, the country has been in continual political conflict between supporters and opponents of twice-elected Prime Minister of Thailand Thaksin Shinawatra, which resulted in two coups, along with the establishment of its current constitution, a nominally democratic government after the 2019 Thai general election, and large pro-democracy protests in 2020 to 2021, which included unprecedented demands to reform the monarchy. Since 2019, it has been nominally a parliamentary constitutional monarchy. In practice, however, structural advantages in the constitution have ensured the military's continued influence in politics. Thailand is a middle power in global affairs and a founding member of ASEAN. It has the second largest economy in Southeast Asia and the 23rd largest in the world by PPP, and it ranks 91st by nominal GDP per capita. Thailand is classified as a newly industrialized economy, with manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism as leading sectors. History. There is evidence of continuous human habitation in present-day Thailand from 20,000 years ago to the present day. The earliest evidence of rice growing is dated at 2000 BCE. Areas comprising what is now Thailand participated in the Maritime Jade Road, as ascertained by archaeological research. The trading network existed for 3,000 years, between 2000 BCE to 1000 CE. Bronze appeared c. 1250 to 1000 BCE. The site of Ban Chang in northeast Thailand currently ranks as the earliest known center of copper and bronze production in Southeast Asia. Iron appeared around 500 BCE. The Kingdom of Funan was the first and most powerful Southeast Asian kingdom at the time. The Mon people established the principalities of Dvaravati and Kingdom of Haraphunchai in the 6th century. The Khmer people established the Khmer Empire, centered in Angkor, in the 9th century. Tumbralan Ghat, a Malay state controlling trade through the Malacca Strait, rose in the 10th century. The Indochinese Peninsula was heavily influenced by the culture and religions of India from the time of the Kingdom of Funan to that of the Khmer Empire. The Thai people are of the Thai ethnic group, characterized by common linguistic roots. Chinese chronicles first mention the Thai peoples in the 6th century BCE. While there are many assumptions regarding the origin of Thai peoples, David K. Wyatt, a historian of Thailand, argued that their ancestors who at present inhabit Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, India, and China came from the Dien Bien Phu area between the 5th and the 8th century. Thai people began migrating into present-day Thailand gradually from the 6th to 11th century, which Mon and Khmer people occupied at the time. Thus Thai culture was influenced by Indian, Mon, and Khmer cultures. Thai people intermixed with various ethnic and cultural groups in the region, resulting in many groups of present-day Thai people. Genetic evidences suggested that ethnolinguistics could not accurately predict the origins of the Thais. Sujit Wangthes argued that Thai is not a race or ethnicity but a culture group. According to French historian Georges Coedes, the Thai first enter history of farther India in the 11th century with the mention of Siam slaves or prisoners of war in Kampa epigraphy, and in the 12th century, the bas-reliefs of Angkor Wat where a group of warriors are described as Siam, though Cham accounts do not indicate the origins of Siam or what ethnic group they belong to. The origins and ethnicity of the Siam remain unclear, with some literature suggesting that Siam refers to the Shan people, the Bru people, or the Brau people. However, mainland Southeast Asian sources from before the 14th century primarily used the word Siam as an ethnonym, referring to those who belong to a separate cultural category different from the Khmer, Cham, Bagan, or Mon. This contrasts with the Chinese sources, where Sian was used as a toponym. Early Thai Confederate cities. Theoretically, Thai Kade-speaking people formed as early as the 12th century BCE in the middle of the Yangtze Basin. Some groups later migrated south to Guangxi. However, after several bloody centuries against Chinese influence in Guangxi from the 333 BCE 11th centuries, hundreds of thousands of Thais were killed. Thus, Thai people began to move southwestward along the rivers and over the lower passes into the mountain north of Southeast Asia and river valleys in present-day Assam of India. Some evidence indicates that the ancestors of Thai people migrated en masse southwestwards out of Yunnan only after the 1253 Mongol invasion of Delhi, but not generally accepted. Thais defeated indigenous tribes and emerged as the new power in the new region. Several Thai city-states were established, scattered from Dien Bien Phu in present-day northwestern Vietnam and highland Southeast Asia to northeastern India. According to the Simhanavati legend given in several chronicles, the first Thai city-state in northern Thailand, Singanavati, was found around the 7th century. However, several modern geology and archaeology studies found that its center, Yonok Nahafan, dates from 691 BCE, 545 CE, coinciding roughly with the establishment of Shan states, another Thais federated principalities in the present-day northeast Myanmar, as well as Muan Sua in the east. After Singanavati was submerged below Changsen Lake due to an earthquake in 545, the survivors then founded a new seat at Wing, Pruexia. The kingdom lasted for another 93 years. In addition to Singanavati, another northern principality probably related to the Thai people, Ngoanyang, was established as the successor of Singanavati in 638 by Lavachakharaj, also centered in Wing, Pruexia. Its seat was moved to Chiang Mai in 1262 by King Mangray, which considered the foundation of the Lan Na kingdom. Mangray unified the surrounding area and also created a network of states through political alliances to the east and north of the Mekong. His dynasty would rule the kingdom continuously for the next 2 centuries. Lan Na expanded its territory southward and annexed the Mon Haraphunchai of Dva Aravati in 1292. In the late 10th century, Thai people began to migrate further south to the present-day upper central Thailand. Around the 1100s period, several cities in this area, such as Songkhoi, Sawangkhalok, and Chakangro, were ruled by the Thai people, and they eventually launched several battles against the pre-existing Mon of Lavo, who had been falling under Shenla and Khmer influences since the 7th century, thus bringing the establishment of the Thai people's independent state, Sukhothai Kingdom, in the upper Chao Phraya River Valley in 1238. The earliest conflict between Thai people and the pre-existing ethnics was recorded in the mid-4th century when the ruler of Singanavati, Pankharat, forcibly lost the seat at Yonok to King Kham from Umangasala. He then fled to Viennesi Tuong but had to send tributes to Yonok annually until his son, Phrom, took back Yonok and expelled King Kham from Umangasala. Phrom also marched the troops south to occupy Chakangro from the enemy as well as founding the city of Songkhoi. Some historians suggest that Lavo's capital, Lop Berai, was once seized by Phrom. In contrast, Thai people instead established relationships with Siamese Mon via royal intermarriages. As is generally known, the present-day Thai people were previously called Siamese before the country was renamed Thailand in the mid-20th century. Several genetic studies published in the 21st century suggest that the so-called Siamese people might have had Mon origins since their genetic profiles are more closely related to the Mon people in Myanmar than the Thais in southern China, and they probably later became Thais via cultural diffusion after the arriving of Thai people from the north around the 8th to 10th centuries. This is also reflected in the language since over half of the vocabulary in the central Thai language is derived from or borrowed from the Mon language as well as Pali and Sanskrit. Moreover, the Janakalamali Chronicle of Thais Lan Na also called the southern region occupied by the Mon Haraphunchai of Dva Aravati as Siam Pradesh, which indicates that the ancient Siamese and the Mon people in central Thailand were probably the same ethno-linguistic group. The earliest evidence to mention the Siam people are stone inscriptions found in Angkor Borei of Funan, dated 661 CE. The slave's name is mentioned as Ku Sayam meaning Sayam female slaves, and the Takeo inscriptions written in 682 during the reign of Bavavarman II of Shenla also mention Siam Nobel, Srinoyapona Sayam, which was transcribed into English as, the rice field that was given to the Pona who was called Siam. The song Huiyeo Jijeo indicates Siamese people settled in the west-central Thailand and their state was called Sianguo, while the eastern plain belonged to the Mon of Lavo, who later fell under the Shenla and Khmer hegemony around the 7th to 9th centuries. Those Mon political entities, which also included Haraphunchai in the north and several city-states in the northeast, are collectively called Dva Aravati. However, the states of Siamese Mon and Lavo were later merged via the royal intermarriage and became Ayutthaya Kingdom in the mid-14th century, while the southwestern Isan principalities, centered in Phnom Rung and Phimay, later pledged allegiance to Siamese's Ayutthaya during the reign of Boramarachathara II. The remaining principal city-states in Isan region became Lanzang around 1353 after the twin cities of Muan Sua and Vientiane Chan Vientiane Cam became independent following the death of the Sukhothai king Ramkam Heng. According to the Wat Kud Tay inscription, dated c. 7th century, during the period that the eastern Mon entity, Lavo, was strongly influenced by the Shenla. The Siamese Mon in the west also established a royal intermarriage with Shenla as Sri Chakatam, Prince of Samhyuka, married to a princess of Isanavarmani, and two Mandalas then became an ally. After Shenla sieged Funan and moved the center to Angkor, both Siamese Mon and the Angkorean eventually marched the troops to attack Vijaya of Kampa in 1201 during the reign of Jayavarman VII, as recorded in the Chodin inscription. Sukhothai Kingdom. After the decline of the Khmer Empire and Kingdom of Pagan in the early 13th century, various states thrived in their place. The domains of Thai people existed from the northeast of present-day India to the north of present-day Laos and to the Malay Peninsula. During the 13th century, Thai people had already settled in the core land of Dva Aravati and Lavo Kingdom to Nakhon Si Tom Marat in the south. There are, however, no records detailing the arrival of the Thais. Around 1240, Pho Khun Klang Hao, a local Thai ruler, rallied the people to rebel against the Khmer. He later crowned himself the first king of Sukhothai Kingdom in 1238. Mainstream Thai historians count Sukhothai as the first kingdom of Thai people. Sukhothai expanded furthest during the reign of Ramkhamhaeng. However, it was mostly a network of local lords who swore fealty to Sukhothai, not directly controlled by it. He is believed to have invented Thai script, and Thai ceramics were an important export in his era. Sukhothai embraced Theravada Buddhism in the reign of Maha Thammarachai. According to the most widely accepted version of its origin, the Ayutthaya kingdom rose from the earlier, nearby Lavo kingdom and Suvarnabhumi with Uthong as its first king. Ayutthaya was a patchwork of self-governing principalities and tributary provinces owing allegiance to the king of Ayutthaya under the Mandala system. Its initial expansion was through conquest and political marriage. Before the end of the 15th century, Ayutthaya invaded the Khmer Empire 3 times and sacked its capital Angkor. Ayutthaya then became a regional power in place of the Khmer. Constant interference of Sukhothai effectively made it a vassal state of Ayutthaya, and it was finally incorporated into the kingdom. Boramatralokanat brought about bureaucratic reforms which lasted into the 20th century and created a system of social hierarchy called Sakdana, where male commoners were conscripted as corvée laborers for 6 months a year. Ayutthaya was interested in the Malay Peninsula, but failed to conquer the Malacca Sultanate, which was supported by the Chinese Ming dynasty. European contact and trade started in the early 16th century, with the envoy of Portuguese Duke Afonso de Albuquerque in 1511. Portugal became an ally and ceded some soldiers to King Rama Thibodi II. The Portuguese were followed in the 17th century by the French, Dutch, and English. Rivalry for supremacy over Chiang Mai and the Mon people pitted Ayutthaya against the Burmese kingdom. Several wars with its ruling Taungoo dynasty starting in the 1540s in the reign of Taban Shweti and Bayanong were ultimately ended with the capture of the capital in 1570. Then was a brief period of vassalage to Burma until Narizhuan proclaimed independence in 1584. Ayutthaya then sought to improve relations with European powers for many successive reigns. The kingdom especially prospered during cosmopolitan Nare's reign, when some European travelers regarded Ayutthaya as an Asian great power, alongside China and India. However, growing French influence later in his reign was met with nationalist sentiment and led eventually to the Siamese Revolution of 1688. However, overall relations remained stable, with French missionaries still active in preaching Christianity. After a bloody period of dynastic struggle, Ayutthaya entered into what has been called the Siamese Golden Age, a relatively peaceful episode in the second quarter of the 18th century when art, literature, and learning flourished. There were seldom foreign wars, apart from conflict with the Nguyen lords for control of Cambodia starting around 1715. The last 50 years of the kingdom witnessed bloody succession crises, where there were purges of court officials and able generals for many consecutive reigns. In 1765, a combined 40,000-strong force of Burmese armies invaded it from the north and west. The Burmese under the new Alapaya dynasty quickly rose to become a new local power by 1759. After a 14-month siege, the capital city's walls fell and the city was burned in April 1767. Thonburi Kingdom. The capital and many of its territories lay in chaos after the war. The former capital was occupied by the Burmese garrison army and 5 local leaders declared themselves overlords, including the lords of Sakwangberry, Phitsanulok, Pimai, Chanthaburi, and Nakhon Sitam Marat. Chow Tak, a capable military leader, proceeded to make himself a lord by right of conquest, beginning with the legendary sack of Chanthaburi. Based at Chanthaburi, Chow Tak raised troops and resources, and sent a fleet up the Chao Phraya to take the fort of Thonburi. In the same year, Chow Tak was able to retake Ayutthaya from the Burmese only 7 months after the fall of the city. Chow Tak then crowned himself as Taksin and proclaimed Thonburi as temporary capital in the same year. He also quickly subdued the other warlords. His forces engaged in wars with Burma, Laos, and Cambodia, which successfully drove the Burmese out of Lan Na in 1775, captured Vientiane in 1778 and tried to install a pro-Thai king in Cambodia in the 1770s. In his final years there was a coup, caused supposedly by his insanity, and eventually Taksin and his sons were executed by his longtime companion General Chao Phraya Chukri. He was the first king of the ruling Chukri dynasty and founder of the Ratcha-anachak kingdom on April 6, 1782. Ratcha-anachak kingdom and modernization. Under Rama I, Ratcha-anachak successfully defended against Burmese attacks and put an end to Burmese incursions. He also created suzerainty over large portions of Laos and Cambodia. In 1821, Briton John Crawford was sent to negotiate a new trade agreement with Siam, the first sign of an issue which was to dominate 19th-century Siamese politics. Bangkok signed the Burney Treaty in 1826, after the British victory in the First Anglo-Burmese War. Anuvong of Vientiane, who mistakenly held the belief that Britain was about to launch an invasion of Bangkok, started the Lao Rebellion in 1826 which was suppressed. Vientiane was destroyed and a large number of Lao people were relocated to Kara Plateau as a result. Bangkok also waged several wars with Vietnam, where Siam successfully regained hegemony over Cambodia. From the late 19th century, Siam tried to rule the ethnic groups in the realm as colonies. In the reign of Mongkut, who recognized the potential threat Western powers posed to Siam, his court contacted the British government directly to defuse tensions. A British mission led by Sir John Bowring, Governor of Hong Kong, led to the signing of the Bowring Treaty, the first of many unequal treaties with Western countries. This, however, brought trade and economic development to Siam. The unexpected death of Mongkut from malaria led to the reign of underage King Chulalongkorn, with Somdet Chaphraya Sri Suriwangsa acting as regent. Chulalongkorn initiated centralization, set up a privy council, and abolished slavery and the corvée system. The Front Palace crisis of 1874 stalled attempts at further reforms. In the 1870s and 1880s, he incorporated the protectorates up north into the kingdom proper, which later expanded to the protectorates in the northeast and the south. He established 12 kram in 1888, which were equivalent to present-day ministries. The crisis of 1893 erupted, caused by French demands for Laotian territory east of Mekong. Thailand is the only Southeast Asian state never to have been colonized by a Western power. in part because Britain and France agreed in 1896 to make the Chao Phraya Valley a buffer state. Not until the 20th century could Siam renegotiate every unequal treaty dating from the Boring Treaty, including extraterritoriality. The advent of the Monthan system marked the creation of the modern Thai nation-state. In 1905, there were unsuccessful rebellions in the ancient Patani area, Yaban Ratchathani, and Free in opposition to an attempt to blunt the power of local lords. The Palace Revolt of 1912 was a failed attempt by Western-educated military officers to overthrow the Siamese monarchy. Vajirabhut responded by propaganda for the entirety of his reign, which promoted the idea of the Thai nation. In 1917, Siam joined the First World War on the side of the Allies. In the aftermath, Siam had a seat at the Paris Peace Conference, and gained freedom of taxation and the revocation of extraterritoriality. Constitutional monarchy, World War II and Cold War. A bloodless revolution took place in 1932, in which Prajathapaka was forced to grant the country's first constitution, thereby ending centuries of feudal and absolute monarchy. The combined results of economic hardships brought on by the Great Depression, sharply falling rice prices, and a significant reduction in public spending caused discontent among aristocrats. In 1933, a counter-revolutionary rebellion occurred which aimed to reinstate absolute monarchy, but failed. Prajathapaka's conflict with the government eventually led to abdication. The government selected Ananda Mahidol, who was studying in Switzerland, to be the new king. Later that decade, the army wing of Ratcha-anachak came to dominate Siamese politics. Plaek Phai Sankram, who became premier in 1938, started political oppression and took an openly anti-royalist stance. His government adopted nationalism and westernization, anti-Chinese and anti-French policies. In 1939, there was a decree changing the name of the country from Siam to Thailand. In 1941, Thailand was in a brief conflict with Vichy France, resulting in Thailand gaining some Lao and Cambodian territories. On December 8, 1941, the Empire of Japan launched an invasion of Thailand, and fighting broke out shortly before Phai Bun ordered an armistice. Japan was granted free passage, and on December 21 Thailand and Japan signed a military alliance with a secret protocol, wherein the Japanese government agreed to help Thailand regain lost territories. The Thai government then declared war on the United States and the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom, whose colony Malaya was under immediate threat from Thai forces, responded in kind, but the United States refused to declare war and ignored Thailand's declaration. The Free Thai movement was launched both in Thailand and abroad to oppose the government and Japanese occupation. After the war ended in 1945, Thailand signed formal agreements to end the state of war with the Allies. In June 1946, young King Ananda was found dead under mysterious circumstances. His younger brother Bhumibol Adulyadej ascended to the throne. Thailand joined the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization to become an active ally of the United States in 1954. Field Marshal Sri Thanara launched a coup in 1957, which removed Ratcha-anachak from politics. His rule was autocratic. He built his legitimacy around the godlike status of the monarch and by channeling the government's loyalty to the king. His government improved the country's infrastructure and education. After the United States joined the Vietnam War in 1961, there was a secret agreement wherein the U.S. promised to protect Thailand. The period brought about increasing modernization and westernization of Thai society. Rapid urbanization occurred when the rural populace sought work in growing cities. Rural farmers gained class consciousness and were sympathetic to the Communist Party of Thailand. Economic development and education enabled the rise of a middle class in Bangkok and other cities. In October 1971, there was a large demonstration against the dictatorship of Thanom Kitakakarn, which led to civilian casualties. Bhumibol installed Sanya Dharmasakti to replace him, marking the first time that the king had intervened in Thai politics directly since 1932. The aftermath of the event marked a short-lived parliamentary democracy, often called the era when democracy blossomed. Contemporary history. Constant unrest and instability, as well as fear of a communist takeover after the fall of Saigon, made some ultra-right groups brand leftist students as communists. This culminated in the Thammasat University massacre in October 1976. A coup d'état on that day brought Thailand a new ultra-right government, which cracked down on media outlets, officials, and intellectuals, and fueled the communist insurgency. Another coup the following year installed a more moderate government, which offered amnesty to communist fighters in 1978. Fueled by Indochina refugee crisis, Vietnamese border raids and economic hardships, Prem Tinsulananda became the prime minister from 1980 to 1988. The communists abandoned the insurgency by 1983. Prem's premiership was dubbed semi-democracy because the parliament was composed of all elected House and all appointed Senate. The 1980s also saw increasing intervention in politics by the monarch, who rendered two coups in 1981 and 1985. Attempts against Prem failed. In 1988 Thailand had its first elected prime minister since 1976. Suchinda Krapraun, who was the coup leader in 1991 and said he would not seek to become prime minister, was nominated as one by the majority coalition government after the 1992 general election. This caused a popular demonstration in Bangkok, which ended with a bloody military crackdown. Bhumibol intervened in the event and signed an amnesty law. Suchinda then resigned. The 1997 Asian financial crisis originated in Thailand and ended the country's 40 years of uninterrupted economic growth. Chuan Likpai's government took an IMF loan with unpopular provisions. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami hit the country, mostly in the south, claiming around 5,400 lives in Phuket, Phang Nga, Ranong, Krabi, Trang, and Sathun, with thousands still missing. The populist Thai Rak Thai Party, led by Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, governed from 2001 until 2006. His policies were successful in reducing rural poverty and initiated universal health care in the country. However, Shinawatra was viewed as a corrupt populist who was destroying the middle class in order to favor himself and the rural poor. He also faced criticism over his response to a South Thailand insurgency which escalated starting from 2004. Additionally, his recommendations to the rural poor directly conflicted with King Bhumibol's recommendations, drawing the ire of royalists, a powerful faction in Thailand. In response, the royalists made up a story about how Thaksin and his advisors gathered in Finland to plot the overthrow of the monarchy, which dramatically expanded the opposition to the otherwise still popular Thaksin. Meanwhile, massive protests against Thaksin led by the People's Alliance for Democracy started in his second term as prime minister. Eventually, things reached a boiling point and the military decided they wanted to oust Thaksin. Despite Thailand's military having been forced from power in the 1970s when democracy was born, Thailand's democracy remains grounded in the implicit consent of the military and the monarchy. When the monarchy and the military agree that a democratically elected leader has gone too far, they work together to oust them. In this case, the military first sought permission from the king to oust Thaksin, permission which was denied. But then, the king rejected Thaksin's choice to lead the army, allowing a military leader to be put into power who wanted the coup. Then, the army dissolved Thaksin's party with a coup d'état in 2006 and banned over 100 of its executives from politics. After the coup, a military government was installed which lasted a year. Coming back to democracy was a process that took very active participation of the people. The people frequently stormed government buildings and the military threatened yet another coup. Finally, in 2007, a civilian government led by the Thuksan Allied People's Power Party was elected. Another protest led by PAD ended with the dissolution of PPP, and the Democrat Party led a coalition government in its place. The pro-Thuksan United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship protested both in 2009 and in 2010, the latter of which ended with a violent military crackdown causing more than 70 civilian deaths. After the general election of 2011, the populist Pheu Thai Party won a majority and Yingluck Shinawatra, Thuksan's younger sister, became Prime Minister. The People's Democratic Reform Committee organized another anti-Shinawatra protest after the ruling party proposed an amnesty bill which would benefit Thuksan. Yingluck dissolved parliament and a general election was scheduled, but was invalidated by the Constitutional Court. The crisis ended with another coup d'état in 2014. The ensuing National Council for Peace and Order, a military junta led by General Prayut Chan-o-cha, led the country until 2019. Civil and political rights were restricted, and the country saw a surge in lèse-majesté cases. Political opponents and dissenters were sent to attitude adjustment camps. This was described by academics as showing the rise of fascism. Bhumibol, the longest reigning Thai king, died in 2016, and his son Vajiralongkorn ascended to the throne. The referendum and adoption of Thailand's current constitution happened under the junta's rule. The junta also bound future governments to a 20-year national strategy roadmap it laid down, effectively locking the country into military-guided democracy. In 2019, the junta agreed to schedule a general election in March. Prayut continued his premiership with the support of Palan Pracharath Party coalition in the House and junta-appointed Senate, amid allegations of election fraud. The 2020-21 pro-democracy protests were triggered by increasing royal prerogative, democratic and economic regression from the Royal Thai Armed Forces supported by the Thai monarchy in the wake of the 2014 Thai coup d'état, dissolution of the pro-democracy Future Forward Party, distrust in the 2019 general election and the current political system, forced disappearance and deaths of political activists including Wanchali Satsaksit, and political corruption scandals, which brought forward unprecedented demands to reform the monarchy and the highest sense of republicanism in the country. In May 2023, Thailand's reformist opposition, the Progressive Move Forward Party and the populist Pheu Thai Party, won the general election, meaning the royalist military parties that supported Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha lost power. On August 22, 2023, Sritha Thavisin of the populist Pheu Thai Party, became Thailand's new Prime Minister, while the Pheu Thai Party's billionaire figurehead Thuksan Shinawatra returned to Thailand after years in self-imposed exile. Thavisin was later dismissed from his prime ministerial role on August 14, 2024 by the Constitutional Court for his gross ethics violations. Politics and government. Prior to 1932, Thai kings were feudal or absolute monarchs. During Sukhothai Kingdom, the king was seen as a Dharmaraja or king who rules in accordance with Dharma. The system of government was a network of tributaries ruled by local lords. Modern absolute monarchy and statehood was established by Chulalongkorn when he transformed the decentralized protectorate system into a unitary state. On June 24, 1932, Ratcha-anachak carried out a bloodless revolution which marked the beginning of constitutional monarchy. Thailand has had 20 constitutions and charters since 1932, including the latest and current 2017 constitution. All constitutions state that the politics is conducted within the framework of a constitutional monarchy, but the de facto form of government has ranged from military dictatorship to electoral democracy. Thailand's current form of government is part democracy and part dictatorship, with many terms are used to describe it. Thailand has had the fourth most coups in the world. Uniformed or ex-military men have led Thailand for 55 of the 83 years between 1932 and 2009. Most recently, the military junta self-titled as the National Council for Peace and Order ruled the country between 2014 and 2019. Military and bureaucratic aristocrats fully controlled political parties between 1946 and the 1980s. Most parties in Thailand are short-lived. Between 1992 and 2006, Thailand had a two-party system. Later constitutions created a multi-party system where a single party cannot gain a majority in the House. A hereditary monarch serves as Thailand's head of state. The current king of Thailand is Vajiralongkorn, who has reigned since October 2016. The powers of the king are limited by the constitution and he is primarily a symbolic figurehead. However, the monarch still occasionally intervenes in Thai politics, as all constitutions pave the way for customary royal rulings. Some academics outside Thailand, including Duncan McCargo and Federico Ferrara, noted extra-constitutional role of the monarch through a network monarchy behind the political scenes. The monarchy is protected by the severe lèse-majesté law, even though the people's attitude towards the institution varies from one reign to another. The kings are protected by lèse-majesté laws which allow critics to be jailed for 3 to 15 years. After the 2014 Thai coup d'état, Thailand had the highest number of lèse-majesté prisoners in the nation's history. Human rights in Thailand has been rated not free on the Freedom House Index since 2014. On August 7, 2024, Thailand's Constitutional Court banned the victors of the 2023 parliamentary elections, the Move Forward Party and all of its leaders from politics for its proposal to reform the lèse-majesté law, arguing it posed a threat to the constitutional order. The Economist criticized the move as an example of lawfare and pointed to the dissolution of its predecessor party, Future Forward in 2020, as the latest example of how an alliance of conservative forces in Thailand including monarchists, the army, and a handful of business tycoons has sought to suppress opposition. On the Freedom in the World 2024 report for Thailand, their status improved from not free to partly free due to competitive parliamentary elections and the formation of a new governing coalition by what had been a major opposition party, though unelected senators ensured that the party with the most votes was excluded. Economy. The economy of Thailand is heavily export-dependent, with exports accounting for more than two-thirds of gross domestic product. Thailand exports over $105 billion worth of goods and services annually. Major exports include cars, computers, electrical appliances, rice, textiles and footwear, fishery products, rubber, and jewelry. Thailand is an emerging economy and is considered a newly industrialized country. Thailand had a 2017 GDP of $1.236 trillion. Thailand is the second largest economy in Southeast Asia after Indonesia. Thailand ranks midway in the wealth spread in Southeast Asia as it is the fourth richest nation according to GDP per capita, after Singapore, Brunei, and Malaysia. Thailand functions as an anchor economy for the neighboring developing economies of Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. In the third quarter of 2014, the unemployment rate in Thailand stood at 1% according to Thailand's National Economic and Social Development Board. In 2017, the Thai economy grew an inflation-adjusted 3.9%, up from 3% in 2016, marking its fastest expansion since 2012. High public spending, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, prompted the authorities to raise Thailand's public debt ceiling from 60% to 70% of GDP. As of 2024, Thailand's struggle with low productivity, poor education, high household debt, low private investment and slow economic growth, with an economic research group forecasted an annual GDP growth of below 2% in the next decades without structural reforms. Also, Thailand has a diverse and robust informal labor sector. In 2012, it was estimated that informal workers comprised 62.6% of the Thai workforce. The Ministry of Labor defines informal workers to be individuals who work in informal economies and do not have employee status under a given country's Labor Protection Act. The informal sector in Thailand has grown significantly over the past 60 years over the course of Thailand's gradual transition from an agriculture-based economy to becoming more industrialized and service-oriented. Between 1993 and 1995, 10% of the Thai labor force moved from the agricultural sector to urban and industrial jobs, especially in the manufacturing sector. It is estimated that between 1988 and 1995, the number of factory workers in the country doubled from 2 to 4 million, as Thailand's GDP tripled. While the Asian financial crisis that followed in 1997 hit the Thai economy hard, the industrial sector continued to expand under widespread deregulation, as Thailand was mandated to adopt a range of structural adjustment reforms upon receiving funding from the IMF and World Bank. These reforms implemented an agenda of increased privatization and trade liberalization in the country, and decreased federal subsidization of public goods and utilities, agricultural price supports, and regulations on fair wages and labor conditions. These changes put further pressure on the agricultural sector, and prompted continued migration from the rural countryside to the growing cities. Many migrant farmers found work in Thailand's growing manufacturing industry, and took jobs in sweatshops and factories with few labor regulations and often exploitative conditions. Those that could not find formal factory work, including illegal migrants and the families of rural Thai migrants that followed their relatives to the urban centers, turned to the informal sector to provide the extra support needed for survival under the widespread regulation imposed by the structural adjustment programs. One family member working in a factory or sweatshop made very little. Scholars argue that the economic consequences and social costs of Thailand's labor reforms in the wake of the 1997 Asian financial crisis fell on individuals and families rather than the state. As the country's labor market became increasingly deregulated, the burden and responsibility of providing an adequate livelihood shifted from employers and the state to the workers themselves, whose families had to find jobs in the informal sector to make up for the losses and subsidies the wages being made by their relatives in the formal sector. The weight of these economic changes hit migrants and the urban poor especially hard, and the informal sector expanded rapidly as a result. Today, informal labor in Thailand is typically broken down into three main groups: subcontracted self-employed home-based workers, service workers, and agricultural workers. Not included in these categories are those that work in entertainment, nightlife, and the sex industry. Individuals employed in these facets of the informal labor sector face additional vulnerabilities, including recruitment into circles of sexual exploitation and human trafficking. A 2012 study found that 64% of informal workers had not completed education beyond primary school. Many informal workers are also migrants, only some of which have legal status in the country. Because the informal labor sector is not recognized under the Labor Protection Act, informal workers are much more vulnerable to exploitation and unsafe working conditions. While some Thai labor laws provide minimal protections to domestic and agricultural workers, they are often weak and difficult to enforce. Furthermore, Thai social security policies fail to protect against the risks many informal workers face, including workplace accidents and compensation as well as unemployment and retirement insurance. Many informal workers are not legally contracted for their employment, and many do not make a living wage. Tens of thousands of migrants from neighboring countries face exploitation in a few industries, especially in fishing where slave-like conditions have been reported. Language. The official language of Thailand is Thai, a Kra, Dai language closely related to Lao, Shan in Myanmar, and numerous smaller languages spoken in an arc from Hainan and Yunnan south to the Chinese border. It is the principal language of education and government and spoken throughout the country. The standard is based on the dialect of the Central Thai people, and it is written in the Thai alphabet, an Abugida script that evolved from the Khmer alphabet. 62 languages were recognized by the Royal Thai government. For the purposes of the national census, 4 dialects of Thai exist. These partly coincide with regional designations, such as Southern Thai and Northern Thai. The largest of Thailand's minority languages is the Lao dialect of Isan spoken in the northeastern provinces. In the far south, Kelantan Patani Malay is the primary language of Malay Muslims. Varieties of Chinese are also spoken by the large Thai Chinese population, with the Teosha dialect best represented. Numerous tribal languages are also spoken, including many Austroasiatic languages such as Mon, Khmer, and Mlabri, Austronesian languages such as Cham, Moken and Yuriklawa, Sino-Tibetan languages like Lawa, Aka, and Karen, and other Thai languages such as Phuthai, and Sikh. Hmong is a member of the Hmong, Mean languages, which is now regarded as a language family of its own. Religion. The country's most prevalent religion is Theravada Buddhism, which is an integral part of Thai identity and culture. Active participation in Buddhism is among the highest in the world. Thailand has the second largest number of Buddhists in the world after China. According to the 2018 National Statistical Office data, 94% of the country's population self-identified as Buddhists. Muslims constitute the second largest religious group in Thailand, comprising 5.5% of the population in 2018. Islam is concentrated mostly in the country's southernmost provinces, Patani, Yala, Satun, Narathiwat, and part of Songkhla Chumphan, which are predominantly Malay, most of whom are Sunni Muslims. Christians represented 1.13% of the population in 2018, with the remaining population consisting of Hindus and Sikhs, who live mostly in the country's cities. There is also a small but historically significant Jewish community in Thailand dating back to the 17th century. The constitution does not name an official state religion, and provides for freedom of religion. There have been no widespread reports of societal abuses or discrimination based on religious belief or practice. Thai law officially recognizes 5 religious groups: Buddhists, Muslims, Brahmin Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians. However, some laws are inspired from Buddhist practices, such as banning alcohol sales on religious holidays. Culture. Thai culture and traditions incorporate influences from India, China, Cambodia, and the rest of Southeast Asia. Thailand's national religion, Theravada Buddhism, is central to modern Thai identity. Thai Buddhism has evolved over time to include many regional beliefs originating from Hinduism, Animism, as well as ancestor worship. The official calendar in Thailand is based on the Eastern version of the Buddhist era. Thai identity today is a social construct of the Phai Bun regime in the 1940s. Several ethnic groups mediated change between their traditional local culture, national Thai, and global cultural influences. Overseas Chinese also form a significant part of Thai society, particularly in and around Bangkok. Their successful integration into Thai society has allowed them to hold positions of economic and political power. Thai Chinese businesses prosper as part of the larger bamboo network. Respect for elderly and superiors by age, position, monks, or certain professions is Thai mores. As with other Asian cultures, respect towards ancestors is an essential part of Thai spiritual practice. Thais have a strong sense of social hierarchy, reflecting in many classes of honorifics. Elders have by tradition ruled in family decisions or ceremonies. Wei is a traditional Thai greeting, and is generally offered first by a person who is younger or lower in social status and position. Older siblings have duties to younger ones. Thais have a strong sense of hospitality and generosity. Taboos in Thai culture include touching someone's head or pointing with the feet, as the head is considered the most sacred and the foot the lowest part of the body. And Tata Young. Cuisine. Thai cuisine is one of the most popular in the world. Thai food blends 5 fundamental tastes: sweet, spicy, sour, bitter, and salty. Common ingredients include garlic, lemongrass, kaffir lime, galangal, turmeric, coriander, and coconut milk. Each region of Thailand has its specialties such as green curry in the central region, green papaya salad in the northeast, khao swa in the north, and mas amon curry in the south. In 2017, 7 Thai dishes appeared on a list of the world's 50 best foods, an online worldwide poll by CNN Travel. Thailand had more dishes on the list than any other country. They were Tom Yam Goong, Pad Thai, Som Tam, Mas Amon curry, green curry, Thai fried rice, and Mu Nam Tok. 2 desserts were also listed in CNN's 50 best desserts around the world: mango sticky rice and tub tim krab. The staple food in Thailand is rice, particularly jasmine rice, which forms part of almost every meal. Thailand is a leading exporter of rice, and Thais consume over 100 kilograms of milled rice per person per year. Thailand is also the world leader in edible insect industry and well known for its street food,